Number 8. Unexplained Skeletons of Ofroopkund Lake. In 1942, an Indian forest official named H.K. Madwal discovered something strange while exploring Ofroopkund Lake. He found a large mass full of hundreds of human skeletons. The freezing temperatures of the Himalayas had helped preserve the remains for centuries. In the 1950s, the strange discovery was finally made public, and since then, many investigations have tried to unravel the mystery. First, it was believed that the bodies may have been Japanese soldiers or Tibetan traders that died on the Silk Road, perhaps through some sort of epidemic or by harsh weather. But it was noted that no weapons were found at the site, and later, forensic analysis revealed that the skeletons were of Indian descent, dating back to the 9th century. So how exactly did they get there? Scientists like Veena Mushrif Tripathi, a member of an investigation team in 2004, noted that although there were no weapons, there were remnants of musical instruments. The route also seemed to line up with the Nanda Devi Raj Jat Yatra, a Hindu pilgrimage that happens roughly every 12 years and is still practiced to this day. So Mushrif Tripathi and her team figured out that the remains belonged to pilgrims and some local guides. But what was more surprising was how all of these people actually died. Most of the skeletons experienced trauma to the skull, but this wasn't caused by a fierce battle. All of these people died in a massive hailstorm that pelted them in a singular fatal weather event. Although this is the theorized scientific explanation for the deaths, the entire area is steeped in rich folklore and myths, including tales of angry goddesses who punish unworthy pilgrims. In fact, another research team in 2019 used genome analysis to reveal more details about the mysterious remains. A 5-year-long study was conducted on the Ofroopkund Lake victims. Bone samples from the 38 skeletons that were stored at the Anthropological Survey of India in Kolkata were sent to 16 international labs for analysis. The results shocked the world. The study found that the 38 skeletons belonged to 3 different groups and were deposited in the lake during several events over a period of 1,000 years. The first group was of South Asian descent, and their bones were deposited between the 7th and 10th centuries. The second group consisted of individuals with Eastern Mediterranean ancestry from the island of Crete who died in the 19th century. Lastly, there was a sample of Southeast Asian origin, also from around the 19th century. The researchers were so surprised by the group with Eastern Mediterranean ancestry that they did a dietary analysis to see if it supported the DNA results, and it did. This caused the mystery to open up even further. Instead of simply looking at Indian pilgrims from the 9th century, the skeletons at Ofroopkund Lake spanned multiple ages and the world. These findings beg the question, how did these other groups end up here? The answer is that scientists still don't know, and even the theories as to the original group dying from a massive hailstorm have been disproven. Maybe it was altitude sickness, or perhaps the local legends of vengeful goddesses are actually true. Number 7. Diving bell spiders. For those of you with arachnophobia, you might be surprised that our 8-legged friends also live underwater. Almost nowhere is safe. The diving bell spider is native to certain regions of Europe and Asia and is usually found in small freshwater sources like ponds, streams, and lakes. The species has grown so used to being underwater that it only really needs to go up to the surface once a day for air. But how is a spider able to breathe underwater? The answer is hidden in its name. The spider creates a diving bell, which is a small bubble of air that the creatures carry with it underwater. The spider then spins a silk web between the aquatic plants and anchors it to the plants with small drops of silk. After this, the spider swims up to the surface and captures a bubble of air, which it carries down to its silk web. The diving bell spider repeats this process until the silk web is completely covered in bubbles of air, creating small pockets that look a bit like an umbrella the spider can use to breathe. The diving bell it creates is so impressive it means that the spider can spend most of its life underwater. It's able to eat, sleep, and even reproduce within the air pockets. Thankfully, the diving bell spider is only an inch in size, so it's not as freaky as a giant tarantula. But this spider can still pack quite the nasty bite. Although it isn't deadly, it can still break the skin and cause both inflammation and swelling. Number 6. A sunken airplane off the Scottish coast. Browsing through Google Earth can often lead to some strange and wonderful discoveries. But one man stumbled upon something pretty disturbing: what looked like an entire aircraft under the waves. Robert Morton from South Yorkshire in the UK was browsing around the Scottish coast of Edinburgh on Google Maps when he suddenly spotted what looked to be an aircraft in the water. It was 9 miles away from the nearest airport, but given how clear the image was, it looked like it was in pretty shallow waters. Curious, Morton decided to look into whether or not there had been any plane crashes that matched the description of what he was seeing, but nothing came up. As a result, Morton thought it was just a glitch, and that Google satellite imagery had somehow recorded a plane taking off, with the cloud cover above making it seem like it was actually under the waves. One thing is for sure, he's probably not going to forget this discovery for quite some time. What's the craziest thing you've managed to find on Google Maps? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 5. The conical structure of Kinneret. Archaeologists in 2013 found something fascinating inside the Sea of Galilee. They discovered a huge, man-made structure made up of basalt cobbles and boulders. The column is massive, measuring about 229 feet in diameter, and it's about 718 feet below sea level. The archaeologists who made the discovery include Yitzhak Paz, Moshe Reshef, Zvi Ben Avraham, Shmuel Marco, Gideon Tibor, and Danny Nadal, and they reported their findings to the International Journal of Nautical Archaeology. Upon closer inspection by scuba divers, they realized that the boulders used in the structure are up to 3.5 feet long and have no discernible construction patterns. They also have no signs of cutting or chiseling. So why would anyone make this, and what purpose did it have? Researchers put forward a couple of ideas as to what it might have been used for. One possibility is that it was built by a marine-based economy, since the structure attracts fish. In this case, it would have been intentionally built underwater. The team noted that there are other stone structures in the Sea of Galilee that are widely believed to be ancient fish nurseries, but they're much smaller, with diameters of only 13.5 feet, and they're also found near the shores. On the other hand, it's also possible that the structure was actually built onshore back when the water level was lower than today. Other historians have also noted the column's similarity to a cairn, an ancient burial mound that is usually signified by many boulders placed on top of one another. The structure is believed to be about 4,000 years old. This tells archaeologists that there were advanced people living in the area at the time who had the ability to shape the basalt. Even with this, we're still not sure of the column's true purpose. Number 4. Goblin sharks. The goblin shark is one of the creepiest animals we've ever discovered in the ocean. They have long snouts that sit flat on top of their head, and they can move their mouth from way up by their eyes to all the way to the front of their faces. Their flabby body is grayish-pink in color, and their teeth look like tiny needles poking out of their mouth. This makes them incredibly freaky to look at, leaving many to be terrified of them. But thankfully, goblin sharks don't actually pose a threat to humans, and it's rare for a person to come into contact with one while they're swimming or diving in the ocean. This is because the creatures normally live at a depth of about 3,600 feet. The goblin shark's scary and unusual appearance is what helped it become an expert hunter of its food. Goblins are opportunistic predators that feed on prey including fish, squid, and crustaceans. They use their long snouts to sense the electrical fields given off by their food on the sandy floor of the seabed, allowing them to detect and locate possible meals. Once it has detected something, it's able to snap its jaws forward faster than any other shark species, something scientists liken to a slingshot. Number 3. Marsam. Marsam was a Brazilian ship that sank and froze in the Antarctic ice on April 7, 2012. The yacht belonged to a well-known Brazilian journalist named João Lara Mesquita, and it was being used to film a documentary about the Antarctic coast when it suddenly capsized. The yacht was manned by a crew of 4 people at the time. It happened in Maxwell Bay of Ardley Cove, about 750 miles south of South America. During the incident with the Marsam yacht, the crew members faced seriously strong winds, blowing at over 62 miles an hour. One of the crew even likened it to being on a bucking bronco during a rodeo. Eventually, the boat got caught in the ice, and the crew had to radio out for help. Luckily, the Chilean Navy base in Bahia Fildes heard their call and came out to the rescue. Unfortunately, bad weather conditions made the rescue effort take 2 days longer than originally planned. Thankfully, all 4 crew members were rescued safely. And also, unfortunately, the ship couldn't be saved. The super cold water that splashed onto its deck froze and caused the hull to split apart and expand. This is called compression, and it's what ultimately caused Marsam Fim to sink to the bottom of the shallow Maxwell Bay. The boat stayed underwater for almost a year, about 30 feet deep, but it was still preserved and visible from above. Finally, in early 2013, a team was able to rescue the boat and recover its equipment, but the Marsam Fim was well beyond repair. One of the things that will remain with the crew was that as they were waiting for rescue, they slowly saw the Marsam Fim sink beneath the waves with their lights still shining and casting a ghostly shadow over the frigid ice. Number 2. Deep-sea dragonfish. The deep-sea dragonfish is a fierce predator that lives in the deepest sections of the ocean and is sometimes referred to as the scaleless dragonfish. It's a small fish, only about 6 inches long, but don't let the size fool you. It has huge teeth compared to the rest of its body. Its scientific name is Grammatostomys flagellobarba, and it's definitely not a fish you'd want to pick a fight with. Living at a depth of 5,000 feet underwater, the deep-sea dragonfish surrounds itself in the pitch-black waters of the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Alongside its large teeth, which are angled inwards to hook into prey, the deep-sea dragonfish has another trick up its sleeve. It's able to use bioluminescence, using an organ called a photophore, to create its own light. It uses this artificial light to attract prey. It moves its barbel, which is a small thin protrusion on its chin, similar to a lure on a fishing rod, in order to bait fish and other sea creatures. Since a lot of its prey also produce their own light, the dragonfish has evolved a special trick. The walls of its stomach are black, which helps to hide any light produced by the prey as it digests the most recent meal. This way, the dragonfish can stay hidden and avoid any unwanted attention from other predators. It truly is lights out for anything that gets caught up in its jaws. And at number 1, the SS Rio Grande. One of the deepest shipwrecks in the world is the SS Rio Grande. In fact, it actually received a record from the Guinness Book of World Records until the discovery of the USS Johnson came in 2019. The SS Rio Grande was a German blockade runner that sank off the coast of Brazil thanks to 2 US ships in January 1944. Only 72 members of the ship's crew survived the attack, with the rest of the vessel ending up beneath the waves. The SS Rio Grande was so deep that it wasn't until 1996 when it was found. The find was made by Blue Water Recoveries on November 28th of that year using sonar technology and was confirmed by the use of a remotely operated diving machine. But just how deep down is the SS Rio Grande? It sits 3.5 miles below the surface. Although the SS Rio Grande and the SS Johnson are some of the deepest shipwrecks found, there are still so many boats out there on the seabed that have yet to be discovered. Some of them may lie even deeper than we can currently reach. Thanks for watching. Which one of these creepy underwater finds did you find the strangest? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you next time.